Green directed Joe, which stars
Yep.
Nicolas Cage.
I need to watch that one.
Joe is so good. Oh my God, great. Ty Sheridan is in it. He's the one that plays young Cyclops.
It looks really good. Um,
Yeah,
we're
it's
live now,
great.
by the way. So, how's everybody doing? I hope you guys can hear us. You can't see us right now because I got you on the opening window, but I got a little something, a nice little surprise for one of you guys. That's yep, I see him. He's right there. I see him right now. So I'm gonna play something real quick that I thought was really cool, and then we're gonna play our normal intro, and then we're gonna get going. All right, here we go. Now, of course, I can't see the video.
I can't see anything.
Sometimes OBS does that. Sometimes it'll play the video, and sometimes it won't. But we can hear it. That's Jason Nike on the guitar playing the Halloween theme.
Oh, there's a problem with the network.
Uh-oh. It says we're still live. Yeah, audio is fine. I wish you guys could see how beautiful Jason is. It sounds great. So now let's try the regular intro and see if that
I'm back. What was that?
perfect timing. What's up, everybody? I got Zack back in the nick of time, but welcome to another DD Live Weekly. This is number 3, and we're going strong. I took a break last week, but we're back, and I got a very special guest, a good friend. We go way, way back, Mr. Zack Mull from Cavern of Terror. Say hi, Zack.
Hi. I just saw the screen come up.
Oh, awesome. How have you been doing?
There we go. Oh man, I've been busy, and busy for reasons we're going to talk about today.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you've been very busy. So, I thought because the subject today is Scream, I thought what better time to have Zack on than now? Because Zack is just a massive Scream fan. Would it be safe to say that that's your number one franchise?
oh, easily.
Yeah, yeah. What is it about Scream that you love so much? Like, what grabs you with it?
I mean, Scream was the first horror franchise I ever saw. Period. So I saw it when I was like 7 years old. So that was the year after Scream came out. So Scream was huge when I saw it for the first time. It
So
was
you were
everywhere.
7 when you saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
Jamie Lee
Seven,
Curtis would
seven
be
or
so disappointed with you right now.
well, I was above 5 years old, so I
Yeah.
think I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't know how she feels about 7-year-olds, but if you're, that's her line. 5 years old, you're fucked. So
I mean, I saw John Carpenter's Vampires when I was 5, so I mean, that's pretty messed up.
yeah, that's something we're gonna touch on that too later, because we're gonna in the Halloween portion of the stream. We're definitely gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But first off, I guess the first thing I wanted to do was talk about your fan film called He Knows Your Name. If you look behind the actual chat window there, you can see his official poster. And as a matter of fact, I'll bring it to the front just for a second so you guys can actually see what it looks like.
I am anxiously awaiting.
Now, while I'm doing
Now,
this,
what?
Tell me about this journey. How did this whole thing start? And, how we ended up here? Because this is ambitious. I'm pretty damn proud of you.
Well, this has been a long time coming for me. It's like I've loved movies forever, and I started my YouTube channel. Like my original YouTube channel was just Zack's Reviews, and you can look it up. It's old.
Yeah.
I think my channel came out in 2009 or 10, so going on 10 years ago, if not longer than that. And it started out as reviews. And I actually did make a short film.
I was going to ask you that, actually.
5 years ago, I made a short film. It's about 8 minutes long. It's a comedy. It's nowhere near horror at all. And it was actually two guys that I worked with at JLG when I worked at JLG.
Right.
And it was like a Tarantino style. Two criminals. They hit a jogger. One guy hits a jogger, and the whole thing is about them trying to stash this body. And I play one of the characters in it. So not only did I write it, I acted in it and I directed it.
Oh wow!
And we edited it in one day. Our budget was $5 in gas and 2 McChickens from McDonald's.
Oh wow! Oh, yeah. Nathaniel Fincher's saying the audio needs leveled out. Whose audio needs who's louder? Let me know. And you guys can see Zack's poster for his film. I just put it on there, so
it's right over top of you.
Yep. I put it over the top of me, so that way they see your pretty face.
Fun fact: the graphic design for the poster was done by yours truly. Nice. I designed the poster, and I thought it would just be like something really simple. This was designed to be a teaser poster, and I thought Ghostface uses phones, and I want to bring it into the 2020, so it's an iPhone screen.
Okay, so they're saying that you're super loud and I'm not. So let me go adjust my mic real quick.
Let me see if I can take down my mic volume. I might be able to do that a little bit.
Like in general, guys, do I sound way too low even if you just don't even think about Zack's audio? Do I need to raise my, or does Zack just need to lower his?
How do I sound now? Do I sound better now?
You sound clearer, yeah. You did have a little bit of static in your audio.
I moved it down to like 5, 6.
Oh, okay, cool.
Do I sound better? Am I as loud as I was?
To me, you sound crystal clear. Let me go into my control panel and I'll check mine real quick. Just give me a second.
What's the chat think? How do we sound?
I can actually hear Lee just fine. That's what somebody says.
And that would be Wade Fox.
And it wouldn't be a stream on my channel without technical difficulties. It just
they don't know about the technical difficulties we had before.
Oh, I know.
Let me this up to 6.
Yeah, this is child's play. Hold on.
And they're saying I sound better now.
Okay, so does everything sound leveled out? I won't mess with it if everything sounds leveled out. Maybe I just need to. Oh, you know what? I just figured it out. I had my mic turned around the wrong way. So
okay, all right. I lowered mine down to 6. We should be good now.
Okay, cool. Now, so you were saying, jumping forward to this particular fan film, when did this start? When did you say, okay, I need to actually, like, I have this vision in my head and I want to make this? Because I know you've written a lot of scripts, haven't you, in the past?
I've written 2 full-length strips. One was a Nightmare on Elm Street remake that I wrote.
Right.
And then another one was an original slasher, and then I have a one that's in progress, right? Actually, 2 that are in progress right now. But He Knows Your Name was a completed short film that I had written. I was like, hey, it's time. And it was a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie, it was the Vincent DeSanti and Cecil Laird, those guys. They were a big driving force for me to be like, hey, I need to go off my ass and actually do something.
Yeah.
Because, if I don't do it now, man, I just turned 30 and I'm like, I need to do this now. If I don't do this now, then I'm never gonna do it.
Dude,
So
I'm jealous. I'm 46 last I checked. So I'm way behind the curve. And I see all these people doing fan films. If you remember, I was planning on doing one. Was it last year? I think last year I was actually planning on doing one, but it's very overwhelming, because trying to get all your shots, your locations, and I didn't even have very many actors in mind whatsoever. So how many actors are involved in yours? How many characters?
there are 4 main characters, but 5 actors.
Okay. Are you playing in the film?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
It's a surprise.
Yeah. The big reveal. You
imagine it's me?
Yeah. Now,
motherfuckers.
Was there any fear going into this? Was there a fear element that you were kind of, and what was the thing that you were most afraid of about tackling this? Even though you haven't even done it yet, but what are you most afraid of right now?
Well, the first real big thing was my writing, because I wrote it. And not only am I writing it, I'm also directing it. So I took this to legit actors, you know, real people that are working in the industry, which we'll get into them later.
Okay.
But it was that first big thing where I was like, hey, I'm having people that do this for a living read my writing.
Yeah.
Not people that, watch movies for fun and all this. These are people that actually make their bank off of making movies. So I said, hey, what do you think of the script? Because, I just got in touch with them a couple of weeks ago. We had a sit-down talk, which was a fantastic time. And they were like, oh, yeah, we love the script and all that. And I kept telling them, I was like, I don't understand. This makes me feel so great that you guys are actually saying that this writing is good. Yeah. Because it's just a momentous feeling. It's one of the best feelings you can ever have.
Did you know these actors beforehand, or did you just meet them?
No, I did not know these people before. I actually got them off of a casting site.
No kidding.
That's so I went through all of the proper channels, that indie filmmaker normally would do when they're going into making a film.
As far as do you have any ambitious shots planned out that you like? Is there you don't have to spoil the scene or anything, but is there a particular scene that you're really, really looking forward to doing?
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of callbacks to the original Scream where I'm going to be like, hey, let's try to do this perfectly. I want this to come out great. Yeah. And the cinematographer that I have doing this film, and he's fantastic, and I know he can pull it off.
Yeah.
So it's actually the whole third act of the thing is going to be very ambitious for me, because it's something that I have to be in charge of 100%.
Right.
Because, you got to cut corners on a low-budget film. And this is low budget.
Speaking of budget, are you planning an IndieGoGo? I understand, right?
We are planning an IndieGoGo, and I do have a little bit of information for that, but we can get into that later if you want.
Sure. I mean, if you want to save it till the end of the stream, I mean, I could just trying to tee you up if you want to let the people.
I got it. I got something here, but wait till a couple hundred more people get in here. No, I'm kidding. But no,
you might be waiting on.
I do have a plan there, and I will be more than happy to talk about it later.
Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna jump into the Scream news that's going on. How excited are you about a Scream 5? Is it because I know there's Wes Craven devotees out there that that are like, please, no more Scream movies without Wes directing. Were you in that camp, or were you always like, you know what, I love Scream so much, let's continue?
I love Scream, and I don't know, it's back when you were actually doing the reviews of Scream the series, the first 2 seasons.
Right.
I said, hey, I need to check these out. I'm a huge Scream fan. I haven't seen these yet. I turned it on, and I was like, this is shit. I hate these. This is not good. What is this? This is not Scream. And I know you love those first 2 seasons.
I wouldn't say love, but I definitely, you know what? I had fun with them. I'll say that, but it's not like they're the greatest thing ever. I can tell there's TV shows and then there's movies, So
right. This was the TV show. This wasn't Scream.
Right.
Me. And they even had Patrick Lussier, who did all the editing on the original Scream movies and a lot of Wes Craven films,
Right.
direct the first episode. And he is a talented director. You know, he did My Bloody Valentine, the remake. He did Drive Angry, Nicolas Cage. He did one of those Hulu Into the Dark movies, which were
really?
pretty good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think he did the second one. The second one, not the first one, but the second one with the father that's a serial killer.
Oh, is that The Body? No, that might be a different one.
No, The Body's the
freaking Hulu Into the Dark movies.
It's Thanksgiving, the second one.
Oh, okay. I know, because I haven't watched all of them, but I think I know which one you're talking about. But I mean, Patrick Lussier, he's definitely jumps around a lot. Sometimes you'll see him behind the scenes. Sometimes you'll see him actually in the director's chair. He's a working man, I guess you could say.
I mean, he's known as an editor, but yeah, he is a writer and a director as well.
Okay.
He directed Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler.
Oh wow.
Dracula 2000, yeah. So he has definitely been across the board. But yeah, he did the first episode, and I watched maybe the first 9 episodes of it, and I just couldn't get into it. I skipped season 2 altogether. I loved season 3. I know a lot of people hate season 3 and cannot get into it. Yeah. I really like season 3.
I'm going to agree with you, actually. Season 3 surprised me, and I thought for sure that I was going to hate it, and because I was kind of attached to the characters and the story in season 2, and I wanted them to at least finish it off. And so I think that was my biggest concern going into season 3, that this is a completely different story. But then when I started watching that, I kind of dug it, and I liked the darker atmosphere that they had going on. Like it was a bloodier season than the other 2.
Oh yeah, and Ghostface.
I loved the reveal. I don't know if we should spoil it or not, but I really loved the reveal because I loved that character. Would you agree with that?
The first reveal or the second reveal?
The second reveal, the final.
The second reveal was a lot better. That was probably the best killer since Billy and Stu, in my opinion. I really, really liked that killer, and there was a lot of things in Scream season 3 that really made me like it. Like Roger L. Jackson coming back, the original Scream. I don't care what anybody says. It's not Scream without this ghost face mask.
Yeah, it's
not Scream without this mask. You know, you got the original buck knife back. That was not in the first 2 seasons of Scream. It was a different size buck knife. It wasn't the 12-inch buck knife. It was a 10-inch buck knife.
See, you know your Scream like I know my Halloween.
Oh, dude, I know everything.
You know the size of the buck knife and everything.
Yeah,
I didn't
dude.
even know that it was called a buck knife, but
it's a buck knife 120.
Oh, okay. Now,
so they did a different. I forget what the other one was for the MTV seasons.
Yeah.
Until season 3, but no, season 3 had a much more brutal Ghostface. I really, really liked how brutal he was in that one, especially his first kill with the needle was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Roger L. Jackson's voice was great, and for the most part, I really liked the characters and how self-aware that season was. It was more self-aware than the first season.
It had a good variety of characters too, I think. You know,
yeah,
they didn't fit. You know, because I know there's the PC problem that we have today, but we had a variety of characters even back, in the 80s, 70s. But the difference was that they knew how to utilize the characters, navigate them to where they actually felt natural. And I thought that they kind of nailed that in Scream season 3,
especially with Tony Todd. I thought Tony Todd was that whole thing with him was great.
That was cool.
Man, that was really cool.
I forgot about that too, because he pretty much played like a Candyman type of character. And
it was really interesting. But yeah, as far as Scream the series goes, parts 1 and 2 weren't really my thing. Season 3 I thought was great, and as you go into wanting a Scream 5, I actually did a video on this a while back where I said what they could do. Whether they do a reboot of the series, which would be like a quasi remake,
right,
or a sequel to Scream 4, which would be Scream 5. And I said if they were going to do a remake, I'd be apprehensive towards it. But yeah, a guy like Lee Winnell, I think would have been a fantastic choice to do a Scream remake.
Oh yeah.
Or Adam Wingard, I think he would have been great. You're Next, for example.
I just watched Your Next again
to
for like the umpteenth time the other night, and you can automatically, because I just love the way that film is directed, how it doesn't hold back, how bloody it is, and Adam Wingard, put him in for a Halloween movie, for a Scream movie. I think he would be great either way, and it's kind of interesting that he's kind of doing King Kong versus Godzilla now,
Right.
which is a strange pairing. But I believe in him. I mean, he could be like a James Wan that could handle different genres.
that was a big jump for him because he did The Guest, which is fantastic,
Oh yeah,
and then he
love The
did
Guest.
the Blair Witch, and then he jumped from Blair Witch to Godzilla.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's a big jump.
If
But,
you put him, like, I'm just in my own little world here, but like if you had Adam Wingard directing, like, say, a Halloween movie, I'm thinking from like a score standpoint, he always has really interesting scores in his movies. Like, I love the music that's in Your Next and even The Guest, actually, and automatically it makes you think of Carpenter. It does. It definitely has a little bit of that Carpenter flair to it. So I'd be curious.
Right.
I don't know who does the scores for his movies, but I'd be curious to see what that person could do with, say, like a Halloween or something like that, or even Scream, because that's another thing I wanted to ask you about concerning Scream. If I had to pick one thing that I probably like the least about Scream, it would be the score.
The music, yeah.
It's not the most memorable. I think I guess all of them. I do like the Red Right Hand and that song. That song is synonymous with Scream. But outside of that, what are your feelings on the score? Because I'm a score guy.
Well, the score, I like Marco Beltrami.
Yeah.
And if you look up his filmography, his
He's done a lot.
discography, sorry, he's done a lot of movies. Late 90s and basically everything you saw in the early 2000s he did. Resident Evil movies, the Underworld films, Scream movies, all the Scream movies.
Yeah.
Basically anything you saw in the 2000s he did. And probably the score that I liked from him the most was his collaboration with Marilyn Manson on the first Resident Evil.
Yeah,
I thought that was
that's
really
great.
good. But as far as Scream goes, and I was actually talking to my composer, who you know who that is, Stephen Arthur, if no one knows in the chat. He's a fantastic musician, and I'm so happy that he's on board for our film because I've never seen him so motivated to do something, and we have a lot of surprises coming. But yeah, we were talking about, adding more atmosphere to the Scream series. Because we actually had this conversation before where you said that you kind of liked I Know What You Did Last Summer a little bit more because it had more atmosphere.
Correct.
And that's what Scream is missing, is atmosphere because of the score. I don't think the score is just a little bit too lackluster for me. And the action scenes, it's great. It really helps bring that up because Wes Craven knew how to use, R.I.P. Wes, knew how to use tension, like, better than anybody. And he really played up to what Marco could do in those tension scenes. But everything else, just kind of for me. So, yeah, the Scream score was probably one of the biggest, letdowns.
I think one of the things that's a double-edged sword for the Scream franchise is that it is meta. It is self-aware. It likes to poke fun. The good part of that is when this first came out, it was refreshing. I mean, this wasn't just a straight-up comedy. It was an actual horror movie with a real story with characters that you took seriously. It had grisly kills. But on the other side of that, it was able, and I think this was genius, actually, it was able to poke fun at the genre that it actually is. And that's a really hard thing to do. So I think where they got in trouble down the line was they have to keep that up because that's packaged with the franchise. Whereas you take
that's what Scream is.
Yeah, that's what Scream is. So then you had these other 90s movies like Urban Legend, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They're not hinged to that trope, I guess you could say. They don't have to do that stuff. They could just be a straight up serious horror movie.
Well, well, you just lose your drink.
I dropped my drink.
While you're picking your drink up,
Yeah,
there was something that I noticed the other day. I was listening to a podcast, and these guys are awesome. I actually found them through the Dead Meat podcast. Found We Hate Movies. We Hate Movies is hilarious. It's 4 comedians, and it's not like it's sometimes they take a good movie, sometimes they take a bad movie, and they'll just riff on the entire thing, no matter if it's good or bad. And they did Cruel Intentions,
Right.
which Scream is not the only movie from the 90s that sits in that pocket. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That
yeah.
they can't do anymore. A lot of those 90s movies you can't make anymore. It's just like the 80s
Yeah.
slashers. The 90s movies you can't reproduce. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen unless you have a really good director behind it. And it was kind of weird to me where I was like, you know what? They can't do Clueless now. They can't do I Know What You Did Last Summer now. It's just going to feel like a retread of what they already did. So
You know, it's interesting you
Scream,
say that because I don't think it feels like in this day and age, and maybe we're too close to it to see it, but I don't feel like there's a particular style to this. It feels kind of like it's trying to borrow a little from a little bit of the 90s, but also a lot of properties they completely flat out. You could say copy, you could say pay homage, whatever, to the 80s. It's like this particular era of horror, it can't find its own voice. It has to constantly reach back and borrow, and it makes me wonder in 10 years from now, what, it's not going to be able to stand on its own. We'll look back at this era and say, yeah, that was cool. We had Stranger Things that was copying 30 years before.
stuff. Yeah.
It's kind of strange, and it made me think when I was watching Your Next the other night. I was like, wow, this poor movie. Your Next is one of the few movies that really feels like its own voice. Your Next doesn't feel like it's trying to copy anything too much. It definitely feels like its own style, its own flair. Doesn't really feel like 90s, doesn't feel like 80s. And it's a shame that we have so few, correct me if I'm wrong, of those types of films. I mean, am I wrong?
Right. I mean, you're not really wrong. I mean, there's movies out there that are a little ambiguous. I would like them to be ambiguous. I don't know what date they're in, and that's when I go into writing a script, I try to avoid cell phones as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if, throw a landline in there every once in a while, just to maybe people think, hey, does this take place in the 90s? Or there's a cell phone, so what year does this take place in? So then you have those little things where the thing's not dated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Cell phones are kind of it is a strange concept because it takes a lot. In terms of the story, you can get away with a lot more if you don't have cell phones, of course, because you have people that are isolated. But I still think there's ways to work around it. I mean, as a matter of fact, they did it in Your Next. He used jammers, so they couldn't call out. So I mean, that's one little line of dialogue right there, and you can have cell phones in your movie all you want because they don't work. So,
right.
I don't know.
Isolation is key in a horror movie.
Oh, definitely. You have to take any kind of safety net away from your core characters.
You always have to be, like, I was told this, and I can't remember who I was told this by. It was Vincent, that you have to be one step ahead of your characters.
Yeah. And
Kevin Smith said the same thing. Always be one step ahead of your characters. Make sure that you're smarter than the character, and you know what's coming next. Because your character, if you're written well, is smart, and they know what to do. So you have to be one step ahead of them throughout the entire process, if not two steps ahead of them, because not only are you writing for the main characters, you're writing for the killer as well.
Yeah.
And you don't want the killer to come off stupid either.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want your characters to constantly be ahead of the killer because then nobody cares about the killer. Care in terms of like they're not afraid of him. Like Michael Myers, even though he doesn't talk, so you don't really know how intelligent he is. I guess by his actions. He always seems like he's two steps ahead of everybody. Right. He's always lurking in the background, lurking in the windows. And I've always been into that thing about horror where the audience knows what the characters in the movie don't know. We see the guy in the back and we're like yelling at the character, look behind you, he's gonna get you. And that's
there's that I love that you made that art and that statement right there, because that just goes back to the first Scream where Jamie Kennedy is laying on the couch and he says, look behind you, Jamie. There he is. What are you doing? Look behind you. And Ghostface is behind him. Ghostface is behind him with the knife ready to go. And I'm like, yes. Kevin Williamson was a genius. He's a genius.
Especially incorporating that delay in there because they're looking at the what was it? They're looking at the TV or something and there's like a 20-second delay. And so they play
30
around
seconds,
with that.
I think. Yeah. He's like, "Oh no, 30-second delay." And he turns around and gets slashed. I'm like, they killed Kenny. South Park reference.
Now, going into Scream 5 here, because we're all very excited. I'm freaking elated. I'm over the moon about Scream 5. Just because it seemed like there was so much resistance towards it. There was no news about it for the longest time. And then, not only is there news, but then all of a sudden, like as soon as it was announced, Nev Campbell jumps on. It's pretty much on board. And then we have an official announcement that David Arquette
is back. Yeah,
is back. And he looks beefed up, too, actually.
I actually know why he looks so big right now.
Why is that?
It's because I don't know if you remember this, but in the early 2000s, David Arquette actually wrestled.
That's right. I heard about that.
And he won the WCW championship. Like, he stopped, when the Scream movies got really popular and all that.
Yeah.
And actually, when he won the title was when Scream Wade, technical difficulties, it's Drumdums live stream. LOL, we gotta wait. That's great.
Yeah.
It's all good. I just got to remember that I was talking about David Arquette and why he's so big right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, let me open this up.
Oh my God.
Store. I think we might be live again because I just heard. Like, hold on.
I think I'm live. You guys can see me in the chat, right?
Oh yeah, I think they do see you. So I gotta put myself back on here.
And we're back. Wait,
it says we're back, but let me get my let me get my video back up.
The best thing about this is your stream will be complete. It won't have all these stops in it.
Yeah, I know. I hate that stuff.
My Scream 4 commentary did not do that. The last 30 minutes of it is a separate video.
Oh, I hate that. I don't think I've ever had that happen, actually. So let me go back here.
Yep, we're back, guys. We're back.
Take 5, guys. I'm going to see if I can get rid of the video here. Yeah, here we go. I think because I had 2 videos going, I think it bogged down my computer.
Yeah.
So let me go here.
I'll be able to watch you on the stream then.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a little bit behind.
Okay, here we go. Got that. Oh yeah, and I lost one of my. Man, I lost everything. I wonder if we had because we got lightning going on here.
Lee. Get it together, Lee.
I know, Jesus. Let me turn my other light back.
This is what happens.
Oh, there we go.
All right, we've got Lee back. Lee's back. Yeah. I'm back. We're all here. 91 people watching right now.
Okay, sorry everybody. That's the downfall of going live sometimes. It seems like lately, and I don't know if this is because of COVID-19, but doesn't it seem like that, live streaming is bigger than ever? Am I wrong on that?
Oh, I see so many people going live now.
It's crazy.
Like every day, there's live streams.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I have my lunch at work, I can pull up and I see freaking, SEN. I see John Campia. I see Dave McCray. I mean, I have so many choices for my lunch break now. It's kind of nice.
Right.
So
Dave always goes live like 2 hours before I get off work. So I never get to see it live unless I get off early.
Now let me fix my video here real quick. Configure video. Yeah, I got this Logitech. What kind of webcam you got?
Logitech C90.
Mine's a C270.
C290, I think.
But if you just barely adjust it, I'm making adjustments right now. Let me go exposure. I think that's the big one here. There we go. Kick that up. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think it's a C290. I have.
Yeah, I like mine. It's a lot nicer than my onboard on my.
Mine's pretty bad. Especially when I started doing my webcam videos a while ago.
Let me say hi to some people in the chat. get us
Go
going
for it.
again. You know.
I can jump back into that Scream 5 news whenever you're ready.
Oh yeah, well we will. So Jason Nike, Jason, I hope you heard that little intro. For some reason, I couldn't get the video to work, but I wanted to at least let them hear your beautiful plan. Art Vandelay, Shake and Bake, Holly Klein, Matt Facky, Mizzy E, Tom Undgren, a lot of familiar faces in here. Bryce Russo, what's up, man? And we will be fielding some of your questions. I think what we'll do is, like, after we get through Scream, we'll field a few Scream-related questions. And then when we get done with Halloween, we'll do the same thing. Does that sound good with you, Zach?
Yeah, and also, I'll take any questions.
Regarding the fan film? Yeah, definitely, because it's intimidating. It's intimidating doing a fan film. So we were talking about David Arquette. Now, do you have, because you said you had like an idea of what you would like for Scream 5. Would you care to share that? Like, what do you think they should do in this movie? What do you want out of this movie?
Well, they talk about Neve Campbell coming back, and yeah, that's great. I mean, Neve is Scream. It's not Scream without her. And like I said when I was watching the Scream television series, I was just missing those characters.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be in Woodsboro. Why is this here? I mean, it kind of works. It just takes a good writer to make Scream, And with David Arquette coming back, I was like, okay, so Neve Campbell must be almost 100% on for this now, because David Arquette comes back right after, and then you got the whole Matthew Lillard thing, which is interesting. I mean, I could see that if they want to go that direction. I mean, what I like to see is one of the three die.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody wants to see.
It doesn't have to be Neve Campbell, and I know a lot of people would like to see Neve Campbell go, because I feel like they feel that way because Laurie Strode didn't die in Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that, hey, maybe she should have died at the end, passing the torch to Allison, Annie Matichak's character. Hey, let's do it right with Scream and have Sydney, go out. And you can go back even further, that Ellie Cornell should have been the one that died at the end of Halloween 5 and not Tina.
I agree.
So, she doesn't have to die. Like, I actually just watched Scream 4 today. I watched Scream 4 and I watched Halloween 2018 today.
That's a good double feature, actually, because they're both kind of dark.
Actually, yeah, and they're both like returns to the franchise and that type of thing. Yeah. Which, they kind of already did that with Scream, so what they're doing with Scream 5, is going to be really interesting. Why not kill Gale off at the beginning?
Yeah, that's what Iberton says in the chat, actually. He says, I agree with Zach, and I think Gale is the right call. Which I agree too. I think, I think Gale, she is an important character. I think she was needed in that first movie, maybe even the second movie. But to me, I felt like she kind of overstayed her welcome, meaning that they just didn't know what to do with her. Like, especially in 4, she felt like, I don't know, she felt like a fifth wheel or whatever. For some reason, I just didn't care. And so I think if we're going to kill her off, of course, let's pay respect to the character. Maybe make her the opening act. She could be the Drew Barrymore. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I kind of had an idea there when I was watching Scream 5. Or not Scream 5. I actually saw Scream 5 early, guys. No.
That's how good he is, guys.
I've already seen it. They saw what I have in my fan film. They're like, bro, we want you to see what we got. Yeah. That would be a dream come true. But, I was thinking about it, and I said, Gale is an investigator. Let's have this start out differently. Let's have a Scream movie that starts out, a completely different way, where at the very beginning of the movie, Gale is already on to the killer. Something's already happened. She already knows what's up. And she's, like, cornered the killer, and she knows she's going to die, and she's like, everybody knows who, no. Why you, blah, 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 blah. And then she gets killed right at the very beginning of the movie.
I actually love the idea that Gale knows who the killer is before everybody else does, and then she dies in the first act. That's a great idea, actually.
And then my funny idea was to have Patrick Dempsey die off at the very beginning. Bring him back.
All bets are off.
And, like, that Nev Campbell got married to Patrick Dempsey, and they had a
Yeah.
kid, and Patrick Dempsey dies at the beginning.
I hate that he
Uh,
said like all bets are off in Scream 3, and then Scream 3 just felt like any other Scream movie. It didn't.
they don't kill off any of the old
No,
characters
all bets
at
are off my
all.
ass.
They don't kill off any of the old characters. The only characters that die in Scream 3 are the ones that you don't care about.
Yeah. You know, it'd be a cool ending for a Scream movie, and this is probably a good reason why I'm not writing it. At the end of the movie, Ghostface comes into frame. There's like these characters.
He has a Michael Myers mask on.
Yeah, that you have these characters in the frame. They're talking. They're scared to death. It's the final act. They don't know where Ghostface is. Ghostface comes in, and both of them, because there's usually two killers anyway, right? So both Ghostface come in,
Sure.
and it's just like a bloodbath, and they kill everybody, all the main characters, everybody, and then they turn to the screen, and it's like they stab the audience, and then the credits roll. That's why I'm not
Right.
writing the movie.
There was actually an idea that I heard on David Cray's Two Dudes podcast with
Yeah.
Tony Michael.
Yeah.
That Tony had the idea, and I'm not stealing this idea. I'm saying that Tony came up with this idea. I'm saying that he came up with it.
Don't you
That
steal it.
At the very end of this movie, we don't know who the killer is. The killer gets away still wearing the ghost face mask.
Yeah,
and then the
yeah, I've
next
heard
movie
that.
we
I've
figure
heard a
out
few
who it
people
is.
say that actually, where you don't know who the killer is, and then they just set it up for like another movie. Or one
Right.
idea that I don't think I'm not going to take credit for this because I don't even remember if I actually came up with it or not. But make it a trilogy, and in the trilogy we never find out. Two options: you never find out who the killer is until the end of the third movie, or
Okay.
end of the first movie you find out who the killers are, and then for the next two movies we know who the killers are. And it would kind of add just an interesting new dynamic to the thing because we've never known who the killers are in Scream. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if we're going to
Well,
give you guys the killer opening act, have fun, and then now it's just a straight up slasher, and you get to watch this part. You know what the prey doesn't know. You know, which
well,
I dig that.
that almost sounds like a better executed version of Scream the television series.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did. You didn't know who the killer was in the first season. In the second season, you know who the killers are.
Well, in the
what
second
what
season,
happened?
they tried to, okay, let's give you another killer at the end. You know, there's still a twist. And now, did they kill? Like, we found out who the killer was at the end, but they killed him, right? Or her,
Yeah,
whatever.
in jail.
Who cares if I spoil it, right?
I think he died in jail at the end of the first season.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, I'm bouncing all over the place here, but did you ever see that Scream Halloween special?
No, but I read about it and I thought the story was really cool.
I thought the
Actually.
story was really cool. I think the execution was definitely lacking, but I liked that it wasn't the whole movie wasn't Ghostface, and that's not a spoiler through the whole movie. It was somebody in, I believe it was like a sackhead. Correct me if I'm
It
wrong.
was a different costume, yeah.
Yeah, it was a completely different costume, which I thought was kind of cool.
It was kind of a play off of the Scarecrow Ghostface mask that they had released in promotions for Scream 4.
Yeah, I didn't know. So
And
they actually promoted a Scarecrow Ghostface mask.
there was a zombie Ghostface mask, a
Wow.
Scarecrow Ghostface mask, which was all brown with like the burlap sack face, and then there was the Scream 4 mask, which is this one. And a lot of people don't know that there are slight differences in every mask from the series.
Right.
Like, the Scream 1's mask looks different than Scream 2's. Scream 3's mask has the eyes bulge out more on it,
Yeah.
which is weird. And then the fourth one is more angular. It's a little bit longer. It's actually a little bit wider in the cheek. The first one is longer, but you have to like really sit down and look at them to notice the difference.
Yeah, because I know in the first movie they used like 2 or 3 different masks because the original idea for the mask changed mid production.
Yeah.
So let me let Levi out real quick. He's moaning. Hold on just a sec.
Yeah, I can talk about the original the original ideas for the Ghostface mask. If you look at the Scream documentary, there's a documentary on the
Hey, you
the
want to
5-film
field
set.
guys? Start throwing in your questions for us about Scream. Any questions that you would like our opinion on? Go ahead and start throwing those in, and we'll do those before we jump more into Zack's fan film, and then we're going to jump into Halloween, the Halloween at Home event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream 4's mask is actually my favorite. Like, I have 2 of them going on, 3 of them soon, but 2 of them are not going to be mine. They are going to 2 different actors.
I find myself watching Scream 4 more than all the other Scream movies lately for some reason. It's just the one that I feel like I want to throw in, which is strange.
Yeah, Scream 4 is fun, but dark at the same
It's
time.
very dark. That's what I like about it. One thing, and we were talking about this actually when we were DMing each other, and the color timing in Scream 4 is so weird.
It's weird.
Like
Yeah,
it looks the daylight scenes. It looks like they have the white umbrellas like way too bright on the actors or something like that, and then there's a lot of I guess like burnt siennas, like a lot of browns in the color timing at the night scenes. It's strange.
I think it looks better at night than it does during the day. The day scenes have this weird waxy look. It's really strange, and it's the same cinematographer that did the first 3 movies.
No
so
shit.
I don't know why it looks different in Part 4.
I think didn't they shoot it digitally?
It was digital, I believe. Scream 4
I don't think
was.
It was 35 millimeter, so that's probably a big part of it. And
yeah,
see, what is this? 2011 it came out, so I mean, we were well into shooting digital movies at the time. So
yeah, and I don't think Wes was filming anything on film anymore, because My Soul to Take that came out the year before, which I am actually a big advocate of that movie. I actually really like that movie.
Yeah, I liked My Soul to Take.
That it was filmed digitally as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of horror movies being filmed digitally these days. I got a couple questions coming in. Let me see. I'll take... okay, here's a good one. Tom Ungren. He's going to throw a hand grenade at us, okay? Scream 5, will it be better than Halloween Kills? He says yes. I mean, we're obviously predicting, but potentially, what do you think?
I don't know. I need to see some pictures. I need to see some pictures from Scream 5. Because let me tell you what. That first shot that I saw of Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle with that baseball bat, I was like, all bets are off.
Yeah.
For real. Tommy looks like a badass.
Tommy Doyle, he means fucking business. He's not playing around at all. He's not stopping to get ice cream. He's going straight to the scene of the crime.
I actually think that would have been a great teaser. Like, show him going to like a shed, getting the baseball bat, boom, Halloween Kills. That's it. That's all you see. Like, that would have been awesome. I would have been down with that.
Yeah, I had actually... What was it? I hate when I forget what I was going to say. It's about Tommy Doyle. Oh, yeah, I was saying... Like, my memory's horrible, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Tommy Doyle was the final act of Kills? If it wasn't...
That he had a showdown with Myers?
Yeah, what if the end of Kills is Tommy, and then the end of Ends is actually Allison and Karen? Because personally, I think Laurie Strode, she's not making it out of... I'll say even Kills. I don't think she's making it out of Kills.
I don't think Karen's making it out of Kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tall... It could be anybody, but... Do you want... And I hate that we're jumping into Halloween talk, but do you want Jamie Lee Curtis to die in these movies?
I don't think she needs to live any further. I think she should have died in the first one. Like, Halloween has become too dependent on that character. They don't need Laurie Strode to move forward. They have plenty of characters to move from. And if you've seen, in that little teaser that they showed us last October, there are other characters that are going to be involved in this movie. You don't need Laurie Strode.
No.
I would not be the least bit saddened if they killed off Karen and Laurie in Halloween Kills.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called Halloween Kills for a reason, because they said that this movie is going to have the most kills, I'm pretty sure, out of any movie in the franchise. So...
Wade Fox is bringing out the real questions, the one that we all want to know. What if Sylvester Stallone is in Scream 5 and the killer is Dolph Lundgren?
Hey, yo, what's your favorite scary movie, you know?
If he dies, he dies. And then...
all I'm saying is, you either die by the knife or you live by the knife, you know?
You knocked him down. Now why don't you try knocking me down?
You knock me down right now, huh? Come on, let's do this, huh? That's what winning's about.
That one little scene made me love Paulie to death.
Oh, Polly's
Rocky
great.
standing up for Paulie. It's great.
I love Polly.
Yeah.
Polly's my favorite character from Rocky.
Oh yeah, everybody loves Paulie.
But yeah, as far as Scream 5 goes, if it's gonna be better than Scream, or not better than Scream, if it's gonna be better than Halloween Kills, is we have a lot more information about Halloween Kills right now than we do about Scream 5, and Scream 5 is really like ramping up the things. Like we already know that it's going to film in North Carolina. We already know that Neve Campbell's in talks coming back. We already know that David Arquette is officially signed on. We do know that Neve Campbell, I got this from the synopsis that was put out about a young woman coming back to her hometown to try to figure out some murders that are going on. That Neve Campbell's not going to be the star of this thing, in my opinion. I don't think she's going to be the star of it. So
yeah, I agree. I think she'll be like, well, I don't know if this will happen, but it would be cool if she was kind of like what Nancy was in Nightmare 3, you know? Like,
I could easily see that.
Yeah, like there's already this crop, like there's already this Woodsboro killings thing going on without Neve Campbell, and she feels like she has to jump in, and so she jumps in to try to help out because I think she had way too much involvement in 4, because she wasn't really like the main character in 4 even, but so it felt like they didn't know what to do with her up until the end when she's like, don't fuck with the originals, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like Sydney wasn't my favorite part in 4, and it's funny because I don't really hear people tooting the Sydney horn in regards to 4. They're always talking about Kirby. And I even hear people talking about Jill. They really loved Jill. I loved Jill. I thought Jill was awesome.
See, I liked Jill. I don't like Emma Roberts. So I was like, this character could have been great if she was played by somebody else.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel like her character was fleshed out enough for me. And neither was her ex-boyfriend, Trevor.
Yeah.
I feel like, as much as I like the double fake-out stab openings of Scream 4, I feel like if we would have had, like, a more, fleshed out character performance by all of the main characters at the very beginning of the movie and all of the new main characters.
Yeah, I think they needed a more visceral opening like the first Scream.
Just like I could go back to Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, where all of the main characters were already affected by Freddy, and then you were automatically checked out of the movie. They had an alternate scene at the very beginning that was it was filmed, but they didn't make it a deleted scene where they're all at a party and you get to meet all these characters before they have that dream sequence with Dean at the very beginning. That's what Scream 4 needed for me.
Okay. I didn't even know about that deleted scene.
Yeah, it's on the special feed. It's weird because I have the Nightmare remake Blu-ray, and there are special features on that. There's no audio commentary, but there's really cool featurettes on there. You know, how they came up with Jackie Earle Haley's look, the glove.
Yeah.
They went into some deleted scenes and stuff. It's really interesting hearing them talk about the alternate opening.
So Jason Mongol, he's saying, I'm saying for the record, Dewey will end up being the killer. I've heard a lot of people say that they think Dewey might be the killer. I've heard a lot of people say that they would love if Stu came back. You tell me your idea for Stu, because I saw on Instagram you posted like a drawing of what Stu could look like, because everybody was like he had a TV fall on his face. In the movie world, the movie world is different from the real world. If it's plausibility, if it can happen, then it's fair game. Would you agree with that?
Let me grab that picture really quick.
Yeah, go ahead. While he's grabbing that picture.
So I actually had it like laying right here beside me. But if you can see it, focus. Is my webcam focusing?
Oh yeah, there it goes. Yep. Yeah, man, that's kind of cool actually.
You know, kind of burnt. You know, one eye's blind.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having so much trouble believing that he could die from a TV falling on his head, I mean, look at other killers in slasher movies. These are people that have fallen off of roofs. You know,
right?
you can actually come up with even grislier situations with killers that survived in slasher movies. So
Like, there's a Halloween 4 again. Ellie Cornell fell off
she
that.
fell
Rachel
off
fell
of a
off that
freaking
roof.
roof.
What, 3-story roof and lived?
Oh, dude, that's happened in Halloween 2018. Lori fell off a roof.
Yeah, Lori.
A 60-year-old woman.
60-year-old Lori fell off a 2-story balcony
So
and lived.
he had his head turned to the right angle. TV falls, does
He
some
only
damage.
electrocutes one side of his face, like
They can even
and
have a
that
scene where he's like talking about what he went through and saying, I had like 44 stitches put in my face, and I'm gonna get that fucking bitch.
I was talking to somebody about this last night, where I had an idea about Stu, and it would even be another Psycho reference.
Yeah.
Where Billy does that. We all go a little mad sometimes. Where, check this out.
Okay.
Stu was he admitted he pleaded insanity going along with Billy when everything went to trial.
Right.
So instead of going to jail, he went to an insane asylum. He stayed in an insane asylum for like 20 years, which should be next year's the 25th anniversary
Right.
of Scream. So he was in a mental asylum for 20 years. He comes back to Woodsboro, and then killings start. And just like in Psycho 2, everybody starts to, think right away that Stu's the one killing everybody.
Okay.
And you get that whodunit aspect with Stu being there, and he's all jacked up, and everybody's afraid of him. But is he the killer?
He's trying to just get his life back together. Yeah, you can Psycho 2 this bitch. Sure.
And you could have like a scene with him and Dewey, and it'd be like, I'm sorry that your sister died, because I feel like these movies are so far separated from the first one. Like 2, 3, and 4 are so far separated from the first one. Tatum was only brought up one more time, and that was in Scream. What that conversation with Dewey and Sydney at her cousin's house.
Right.
But yeah, go the whole like Psycho 2 route where you don't know if he's the bad guy or not. Like, and that could really bring in that.
That's good too, because then we get to see a lot more of Stu in the movie. It's not just him showing up at the end for the reveal. Or, if you want to let the audience in that he is the killer at the beginning, then we could follow him throughout the movie. And, there's a couple ways different, because if they get Matthew Lillard back, they're going to want to show the guy for,
Right.
They're not going to Luke Skywalker him in The Force Awakens.
No.
Sydney goes up to the top of a mountain.
There's another thing. Even if Stu ends up being the killer, even if they do go that route and say, like, hey, he's going to be the killer, blah, 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 blah. Scream has had that problem with, 2 and 3. And not so much 4. I guess if you are a little bit more savvy, you get it in 4. But, like, 2 and 3, it's very easy to figure out who the killers are. The only killer that I didn't know was Debbie in part 2.
Okay.
But
I wasn't surprised by any of them.
Mickey's in the movie for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like, he's very clearly one of the other killers. So put the guy in the whole movie. You know what I mean? Put the killer at the forefront of the movie. Billy was in almost the entirety of Scream. Stu was in almost the entirety of Scream.
Yeah.
Anybody could have been the killer in the first Scream movie. I even did a video on it, my theory video. I don't know if you remember this or not, that Tatum was the third killer in Scream.
Right.
I was like, anybody can be the killer.
Now, which one was Tatum? For some reason, I can't remember.
Dewey's sister.
Okay.
Sid's best friend.
And Tatum died in the first movie, though.
Yes, sir.
So, hey, I got a question. Brett Stewart, he says, long shot, but what if the killer for Scream 5 is Stu's brother or sister, and they're trying to get revenge on Sydney? That's a tough one, because then you're kind of pulling the Scream 3 route where it's a family member that we don't really even know. Right. Like, we never even was able to get invested in Sydney's brother. And I think that's one of many reasons why Scream 3 didn't work. Because by the time we found out that he was the killer, we didn't really care about the guy. Would you
I
agree with
actually
that, Zach?
like the killer. I like the killer in Scream 3.
Stop it.
No, I mean, you know how many problems Scream 3 had in production.
Yeah.
The script was rewritten several times, even when they were filming.
Yeah.
And like considering what they went through in production, I love the ending. Like, I liked Roman Bridger's character. I mean, was he easy to peg? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Scream 3 is the campiest out of all of them, so I kind of accepted it.
In a Scooby-Doo franchise, Scream 3 is the most Scooby-Doo. That's what
it is. Say. It is. It's yeah, and it's filmed at the same place they did Halloween H2O. So
yeah, same exact location. I expected to hear a yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the way I would go with Stu if Stu came back.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people talk about like the meta direction, like going full meta, like
yeah, that was the last thing I was wanting to talk to you about, like. Because Scream, all the other Scream movies, they, like the first one talks about the classics, the second one talks about sequels, fourth one talks about remakes. What do you think they're going to focus on in this one?
Actually, let me answer a question really quick here in the chat.
Yeah.
Blue Raven Film says, do you know who's writing Scream 5? And actually, I think that it's the writers of Ready or Not.
Yeah, it is. Oh,
and the directors as well are going to have a little bit of a hand.
I actually said it in my update. It's not. I know that the directors have a part in the writing, like they're helping out, but there's more than just the director that's doing the writing.
Yeah.
So
right.
I don't have the names.
It's the writers of Ready or Not, I believe.
Oh yeah, and how excited are you that the directors of Ready or Not are doing this movie?
Oh, man, I am so excited.
That's awesome.
Not only like when we were talking about the directions that I wanted them to go with different directors taking the franchise over, the wraparound in VHS was directed by Adam Weingart.
Yeah.
Those guys, Tyler Jeanette and Matt Van Alpen, did the final short in VHS.
Okay.
So they're from that same camp of those directors that were on VHS. So they're bringing a sort of, that kind of style to it. And Ready or Not was, funny, scary, gory, everything I want to see in a Scream movie. So I'm very excited to see those guys take over the franchise.
I will bet you, and this is going to be a nice segue into the Halloween portion of it. I will bet you that, like Halloween Kills and Ends, I bet you they have a trilogy planned out for this. Because that seems like it's a smart thing to do. They know that Halloween's going to make a lot of money. They know that people are excited for Scream to come back. So if there's a story idea out there, why not go ahead and plan out a trilogy? Is that something that you think there is plausible that they're going to do?
I think that could work. And I saw somebody, it was Wade Fox, just said Samara Weaving is a gem, and I'm glad us horror fans have this gem to ourselves, LOL. I listened to this interview that Radio Silence, the film collective that did Ready or Not,
right?
I did with Dead Meat like 4, 5, 6, 7 times now, because I love hearing these guys talk about their story. And they talked about Samara Weaving at the end, and they said, it's kind of like Patrick Lussier said about Tom Atkins. We want Tom Atkins to be in every movie we make.
Right.
They want Samara Weaving to be in every movie they make.
Can't hurt.
So I'm like, hey, check this out. If Hayden Panettiere doesn't come back for Scream 5 and say she died in Scream 4, Samara Weaving was her older sister. She's coming back to Woodsboro to see what the hell happened to her sister.
Dude, every horror fan that I've come in contact with, if you mention Scream 5 right after you hear the name Kirby, it's there's no way that the studio doesn't know about this. Like, they gotta be thinking about bringing her back. Wouldn't you think? I mean, that's what the fans want.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could see it. But, that writer brain in me comes in every once in a while, and I'm like, hey, what if she doesn't come back? That's bringing Samara Weaving to be her older sister. That's add that murder mystery element in there. Jill's dead, so who's going to be the killer moving forward? So that's when you bring Matthew Lillard back. And then imagine Matthew Lillard and Samara Weaving in the same movie together, I'm down with that.
That would
That's
be amazing.
that's
And
chemistry.
Matthew Lillard was, it's not even underrated. Everybody loved the guy in the first movie. He probably was the funniest guy in the first movie. And it's interesting, his story too, because I believe his girlfriend was auditioning for a part on the first Scream, and they liked him so much, his look, just the way he carried himself, that they were like,
She
hey, why don't you
was
try out?
she was auditioning for another movie.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, that's him." And the funny thing is, he ended up dating Nev Campbell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
that's a good way of reaching back to, and grabbing somebody from the first movie, and because how cool would that be to see that character Stu come back in this movie, even if he's not the killer, which he was the killer in the first movie, so he'd obviously have to play some kind of devious part. But
right.
I mean, you
And
can
I've
go
also
round and
heard
round with all these different
like
theories.
like I wanted to touch on one more thing before we got into Halloween was I heard a lot of people saying, "Hey, why don't we erase Scream 2 and Scream 3
Yeah.
and have it be 1, 4 and then this new movie?" Because if you do it that way, not only can you bring Stu back, but you can bring Randy back too. So, like, if Hayden Panettiere doesn't want to come back and
Yeah.
they want to bring back the original franchise characters, you bring back Randy, because I know I was pissed off when he died in part 2,
Yeah,
and
everybody was.
then like, hey, he's coming back, Stu's coming back, Dewey, Gale, all these people are coming back. They just have a bloodbath, kill them all.
Real quick,
But
I just got to give a big thank you to my wrenches in there. Holly, you're kicking ass. Thank you so much.
I saw that message.
Holly is just, she's swinging that freaking wrench. I love it.
I saw it. There's heavy wrench swinging.
Oh yeah, she's like, nope.
But yeah, I
Before
saw
we jump
that a
into
lot of
Halloween, I'm going to give you the floor for your fan film. I want you to just tell us anything else that you want to tell us about the fan film. If you want to give some info about the IndieGoGo, when it's going to come out, all that stuff. I want to give you as much of the floor as I possibly can, because I'm proud of you. I think it's exciting that you're actually doing something like this. I was like, wow, Zack's. I mean, when I saw everything that you had laid out for this already, it's cool, man. It's really cool. So, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to give you the floor.
Okay, so as I said at the very beginning, for people that weren't here, I've been wanting to make a Scream fan film forever. I've been wanting to make a film forever. And this isn't going to be like a full film. It's a 20-minute short. But it's probably going to end up being 30 to 35 minutes long in all actuality. But, I was very excited to go and actually do something coming from all these, amazing ideas that are coming out right now. I mean, Never Hike Alone obviously inspired a lot of people. It inspired, Cecil Laird. It inspired Dave McCoy, which I'm very excited for his It's Me, Billy, Dylan's New Nightmare. I'm very excited for all those. So I said, hey, I've been writing here forever. Let me do something, that I want to have a lasting impression. Let me put a massive fingerprint out there. And what's the ballsiest thing I can do? Okay, let's do a Scream movie. So, that's pretty ballsy. Well, Scream is my favorite franchise. Wes Craven's my favorite director. I've been on a Wes Craven kick for the last 3 weeks watching all of his movies.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, let's pay ultimate homage to my favorite writer, director, and really go out the gate swinging with the Scream film. So I'm going 100%, the way that you make an indie fan film, or an indie film in general. I have real actors coming in for this. I have some very talented people coming in from LA.
Wow.
And you can find all this information on my He Knows Your Name, which is the name of the fan film. He Knows Your Name on Facebook. He Knows Your Name, a Scream fan film. You'll see my very talented cinematographer, Matt Leal. You'll see a very, very talented and friend of both of ours, Matt Fessel, that's doing the sound.
Oh, shit, I didn't know Matt was involved in this.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's involved.
That's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
He's a great guy, and both of them have been huge helping hands on me with this whole process, because this really is the first thing that I've ever done on this level.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to owe to them. I mean, I named them producers because these guys have helped me with so much.
Yeah.
And the actors, guys, in the chat, the actors in this movie, they're fantastic. All of them. They're all great. Um, Andrew Burdett, Tamara Chichian, um, Alex Andrews, Edward Brents. These people are all great. They're fantastic. I'm going to try to put something out for their interviews
Yeah.
once we get rolling here with the IndieGoGo, but I was floored by all of them. When I saw their reels, I was like, these guys are great. Why do they want to be in my fan film? So, so
It's
I have all that.
inspiring what you're doing, what Cecil's doing, what Dave McCrae's doing. And I remember this last weekend, Joe Bob Briggs did, the show was on. He was doing, I think, a war, Trauma's War. And there was one little section I saw where he was talking about people making their own films, because he gets emails, messages all the time about, hey, I want to make a fan film. And Joe Bob Briggs was saying basically, you have every tool, every avenue available to you at your fingertips now, so you don't have any excuse whatsoever. You just do it. That's you have no excuse.
Absolutely.
If you really want to do it, if you're passionate about
Right.
doing it, then just do it. And that's exactly what you're doing. One day you woke up and you said, you know what, I want to make this film. I'm going to start right now.
Exactly. Like I sat down and I was like, "Hey, I have all these scripts here, and a lot of these are big. So let's just do something that I know I can do it. Let's make a solid 20-page script. Really hammer it out, go over it a few times, send it out to a few people to read it. It came back with good positive feedback, and right now is the time. Like, this is the best time ever to make a fan film because, like Lee said, everything is there for you. You have all of the tools. I can't imagine what it was like to make films back in, like, even the early 2000s when we didn't have half the stuff that we have now, or back in the 90s when we didn't have any of the stuff
You had
that
to
we
go to
have
film
now.
school.
Yeah, like you actually had to go to school to do this. Now you have YouTube and you can have all these tutorials. You don't need to go to film school anymore. And take it from me, I'm 30 years old.
And by the way, you have people like yourself, like Vincent DeSante, like Cecil Laird, like Dave McCrae, that are more than happy to answer any questions if you message them. I'm sure, because that's one big great thing about the YouTube community, especially the horror community, is everybody is more than willing to lend a helping hand.
And I've actually talked to them. I've sent many messages to Dave McCrae. I've sent messages to Cecil. Cecil's helped me out a good bit. Vincent's helped me out a good bit as well with my project. So I have a lot of thanks to give them as well. Like, they are truly there for people that are wanting to make fan films and just films in general. Films in general is something that I really want to stress because I know that making fan films can get you through the door, and it really can. But having original ideas is there for you as well. And if you can't write them and you just want to direct them, there's plenty of people out there that can write it for you.
Yeah,
there's plenty of writers out
Rob
there,
Zombie,
aspiring writers. I've had this conversation before about Rob Zombie. Let somebody else write your films. At least write your dialogues because I like his concepts. Have somebody write the dialogue for him. Yeah. Anyway, but
also
Facebook groups all over. There's writers all over the place.
Chris Snyder in the chat. He just started a brand new YouTube channel. I think he's only got like 2 videos out right now. So I want you guys, everybody in the chat, I want you to click on Chris Snyder, go to his channel, check it out, and give him a sub. Help him out. He's a brand new guy. And when I first started, I didn't have anybody help me out. So help Chris out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I started the same place Chris was, and guess who helped me get my start? The guy on the other side of the screen.
There you go.
But yeah, as far as like the story goes for He Knows Your Name, I really can't honestly give you a lot of information, but it's girls' night that turns into a night from hell.
Oh, that sounds
so cool. It's a very personal story. It goes back to the roots of the Scream franchise. There's not a whole lot there. It doesn't seem like at first that there's a whole lot there, but it goes back to the roots. Like I said, it's very stripped down. It's a very personal story. You follow this girl this very innocent girl. You find out about her past. You find out, what, the stresses of life. And that's kind of what I'm going for. That's the realism of Scream, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's cool, and I think it's smart to do a shorter, like you said, 20 to 30 minutes. That means it's every scene has to count because you're trying to build these characters. So when you have an hour and a half to do that, then it's probably a little bit easier. But when you have 20, 30 minutes, and I've seen a lot of fan films, the good ones, I'm amazed that they're able to build these, like Halloween Night, that the one that
Halloween Night was great.
It's like 50 minutes or something like that, but he did a really good job actually building the characters. I actually was invested in all the scenes, the kill scenes, everything, but I actually liked, especially, the director played Loomis's grandson.
Right. And I don't normally, gravitate to those fan films that really play off of the original series. Like, I like my stuff to go a little bit more in an original direction, even though it still is a fan film, where it takes place in the universe. That's what I was going to say about He Knows Your Name.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Tales of Woodsboro series.
Right.
Where it takes place in Woodsboro, but it doesn't have any of the characters from the original series.
Yeah.
So, as a Halloween Night, it actually, played off Loomis and had some of his characters. And it was so well written and so well directed, I didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
So that can be the downfall of certain fan films, is the over-reliance on the actual franchise. Don't be afraid to be original with it as well, because at the end of the day, it's your story.
I think that's one thing that worked really well about Halloween Night, too, because Loomis is such an irresistible character. So, why not try to utilize him in a current day setting, with obviously an ancestor? And
right.
I mean, it hooked me immediately when I heard the premise of Halloween Night. I have to see this because I love Loomis. He's my guy.
Loomis is such a great character. I've always wanted to do like the offspring of a Loomis.
Yeah.
And that he nailed it.
I will say this right now. If you're not counting the main killer, I think Loomis is probably one of the most important characters in the history of horror. I really do. And that's a bold statement, I know, but he's
absolutely
he's loved as much. He's the Van Helsing. He's loved just as much as Michael Myers is.
He's an archetype. He's an archetype, just like Sam Loomis in Psycho is an archetype.
And people still miss him like crazily because he died back 20 years ago. Was it 25 years now? 25 years he's been gone.
1995.
Yeah, 95.
At least.
That's insane. Now, before we jump into the Halloween at home, tell me a little bit about the IndieGoGo. Like, when's that going to drop? How can they find it?
All right. So we actually have a date now for IndieGoGo. And I just talked to, some people involved. So listen up, because this is very important. On June 20th of 2020, we will be dropping the IndieGoGo campaign for He Knows Your Name.
What was that date again?
June 20th.
June 20th, okay.
June 20th. So if I stress this, it's very important. If you want to support our project, you have to support the IndieGoGo campaign, because without you guys, we can't make it.
Yep, that's important.
And I know a lot of people in here are very, very, supportive, and they're driven as well. And you know how we are. You know how we feel about this. And I'll have the link to the IndieGoGo campaign on my Scream He Knows Your Name fan page. So He Knows Your Name - a Scream fan film on Facebook. The link will be there. So June 20th. We'll be dropping the IndieGoGo campaign. And that actually, it marks a certain date. Scream, the original 1996 release, was released December 20th, 1996.
Yeah.
And it was actually released in Spain the day after my birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
December 18th. But
I'll put your info in my info box, too, of this video. I'll put a link to your channel and any other links that you want me to put in there, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. And there are plenty of update videos on my channel as well. My channel kind of morphed into just news for the fan film. I just recently put up a bunch of updates. You get to meet the actors.
Yeah.
You get to see who the actors are. You get to see a couple updates about the composer, the very talented Stephen Arthur.
I
Um,
love Steven. He's awesome.
you- he's a fantastic guy.
He
He
did a
just
little music short for my wife one time, believe it or not. My wife, she was doing like this educational video, and she needed some light type of music for it. And I was like, oh, Steven, he's actually a composer. And I messaged him, and he was like, absolutely. And I mean, within like freaking like half a day, he sent me over this thing. He jumped right on it. And it was I played it for my wife, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! Tell him thank you so much." You know, that's the kind of guy he is, and then that's the quality of his content that he puts
oh
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he'll whip up something in like 20 minutes for you, and it's great. It's the best thing you ever heard in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Now jumping into Halloween, did my voice crack? I cannot get to one of
I
these
think it
goddamn
did.
streams without my voice cracking. Jumping into Halloween, first off, I want to get your thoughts because I told you I wanted to talk to you about this because I haven't heard your opinion on like Halloween 2018. I mean, just real quick, give me your thoughts on Halloween 2018. Did you like it? What problems did you have? Go ahead.
Okay, so
I'm gonna get a monster while you talk.
Let me actually answer one question really quick. Shake and Bake actually had a question. Zach, will you doing a Blu-ray release like Never Hike Alone? I would love to have the short after it comes out. Yes, there will be Blu-rays, but that actually comes up to you guys. You have to support it through IndieGoGo. But that will be the one perk that I will give away. There will be Blu-rays for He Knows Your Name, and we have an amazing idea for the cover art for it. It may be my teaser poster that you can see behind the chat there, or it will possibly be a different idea that we have, and I might be able to put up a video on that soon. But as far as and I hope that answers your question. Oh, cool, it does. So as far as Halloween 2018 goes, I did do a video on it. The night I saw it, actually, I did a video on it, and I really liked Halloween 2018. Lee, you guessed it on all of my Halloween reviews.
Yeah.
And before I had seen all of the movies, I said that my favorite Halloween movie was Halloween H2O. And at the time, it was. And then I went back and watched the original series, and I like Halloween 6. Producer's Cut is my favorite cut of the movie. Followed by Halloween 4. Yes, I like the Producer's Cut of Halloween 6. Halloween 4 is like right above it. So Halloween 4, Halloween 6 Producer's Cut. And then I actually like Halloween 5 better than any of the other sequels. So...
5
and Lee knows I'm
following.
an unabashed lover of Halloween 5. I'll say it. I did a video on it on my channel, why Halloween 5 is underrated.
I think it's so rewatchable. I think it's a bad movie, but I think for some reason I find myself wanting to throw in 5 more and more lately. I don't know why. It's weird, but there is something, and there's some great stuff in Halloween 5 too, and I think that's part of the reason, like the last act. There's a lot of interesting things, especially when like he's chasing Jamie and she gives up. She lays in the casket. She's like, okay, I can't beat him. I'm dead. This is the first time I think anybody's like submitted to Michael.
I love the whole third act of that movie, and I know a lot of people hate on the house in Halloween 5, but if you if you look at the architecture of the houses in Halloween 4 and Halloween 5, that house fits that architecture.
Yeah.
If you look at the architecture in Halloween 2 and Halloween, those are completely different style houses. Completely different style houses.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, 5's always made fun of because the house looks like this freaking mid-century Victorian house. But that's just part of the charm of Halloween 5. It's a creepy-looking house. So... Mm-hmm. You can, like, somebody actually had this theory, too, that Halloween 5 is kind of the Giallo movie of the franchise. Because
kind of, yeah.
It's got a European feel to it. It's got the man in black looks like a Giallo killer.
And he's got black leather gloves on.
Lately, every time I watch Halloween 5, I watch it like I'm watching a Giallo film. And it makes it, I act like it's not a Halloween movie. And try that, because it's actually kind of fun if you do. Because Giallo films are kind of weird anyway.
Right.
There's always this weird vibe in Giallo films. There's a weird vibe in Halloween 5. So, And you got
There
the
was-
cops with the honk. Wee-hoo.
Yeah, don't get me started on those cops. There was actually a question about pre-production that I wanted to get. Chris Snyder had a question about pre-production. We are in very late pre-production on He Knows Your Name, just to throw that out there.
Okay.
That we're very close to doing mind readings and possibly doing a rehearsal very soon.
So Holly says she's a lover of Part 5. That laundry shoot.
Yes.
Yeah, the laundry shoot scene
Holly's
is one of the
on my
best
side.
sequences in the franchise. If I were to do like a top 10 favorite sequences of the franchise, that sequence would probably be in my top 5. It's just a really and if you look at the Horror's Hallowed Grounds, Sean Clark, he's with Don Shanks. And Don Shanks is like the coolest, nicest guy ever.
Oh, he's great.
He's great, and he's like taking him around to all the to all the locations, but he's also giving him these like juicy stories, like when they're at the sanitarium, and there was this cut scene where Myers comes in and he kills the SWAT team, like all of them, and he says it's like really bloody, and they said it was just way too violent, and they cut it out.
Well, is that Blu-ray that you have of Halloween 5? That's from the Scream Factory box set, so that's different than the regular Halloween 5 edition, right?
No, it's pretty much the same, but in the box set they have a brand new documentary on 5 that's on one. There's an extra disc that's like all special features, and the documentary on 5 is great, but you can find it on YouTube right now too, actually.
Right.
So
let me get into Halloween 2018 before we get, we talk Halloween forever. Halloween Resurrection, obviously, trick or treat, motherfucker. So then we get into Rob Zombie's Halloweens. I loved both of them.
I like the
really loved Halloween 2. Yeah. And going into 2018, I think it has surpassed Halloween 4, but I still think Halloween 6 is better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of right in the middle of Halloween 4 and 5 for me.
Yeah. I put it way above. I put 4 way above it because, but 4 is my number 2 in the franchise. I love 4. Right. It's like, if you take like 5 has like good scene, bad scene, really, really shitty scene, really, really great scene. It's just a really disjointed movie. 4, there's just this escalation all the way through. And it's like this crescendo at the end. As far as like pacing goes, I think 4 does it the best.
4 is a good movie, and one of the things about 4 is the mask and the way that what's his name, George P. Wilbur.
Yeah.
He portrays Myers in Part 4. I think if we would have had his version of Myers from Part 6 and a better mask and look of Myers, 4 would probably be my favorite Halloween movie.
Yeah, a lot of people get hung up on that mask. It's
if we had Don Shanks in Part 4, I'd been okay with it.
Yeah. I like George P. Wilbur. Like I said, he was in 4 and 6, and he just has, I don't know, he's got a lumbering physique, I guess, but for some reason he comes off as very menacing. Mm-hmm. He's almost as robotic as Myers himself is. So,
but I still don't think so. Let's get into the biggest positive that I have about Halloween 2018.
Okay.
And that is James Courtney as Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah. He's got that walk
fantastic. Down. And he's got that old man strength.
Yeah.
That I loved. Like, a lot of people say they showed a little bit too much of his face in 2018. I think they showed just enough of him to show that he is a badass, that he is somebody you do not want to cross, and if Michael Myers gets a hold of you, you're not getting away. Like, period. He is the Liam Neeson of of horror slashers. Like, if he gets a hold of you with his grizzled old man hands, you're not getting away. So
I give a lot of the credit to James Jude Courtney, and I also give a lot of the credit to David Gordon Green, the way he directed James Jude Courtney.
Absolutely.
Before the movie came out, there was a lot of concern about the actor who was going to be playing Myers' age, because we thought Nick Castle was going to be playing him, and we were a little worried, like, could an actor of this age pull this off? As soon as James Jude Courtney entered the frame, when Aaron's holding that mask up to him, it's like something clicked in me. I thought, okay, I completely buy how dangerous this guy, because just the way he's just standing there, and then as soon as he walked into the bathroom, I said,
Oh yeah,
she's fucked.
she's not getting.
I didn't even care how old he was. He just had this presence. When he walked in that bathroom, I was just like, oh my god, she is fucked. This isn't going to be an H2O bathroom scene.
This is a Rob Zombie's Halloween bathroom scene.
Yeah, that's the most Rob Zombie scene, I guess, in the movie. But man, that is probably one of the most emotional kills out of the entire franchise. Like
she smashes her head off the toilets in there, and she can't. She keeps almost getting away several times, and then Aaron comes in, and poor Aaron. I mean, I actually really liked his character, and I feel like he wasn't in the movie enough for me.
Yeah.
But there's a big question, and I've always thought that he lived because they never showed
he could be alive, and I actually think he is alive. I think that's one of the surprises we're going to see in Halloween Kills. I think
because I think I did a video on it, and what I wanted to see for the sequel is a redemption angle for his character.
Yeah.
Where he lived and he's in the hospital and he's like, oh, I'm the reason why Michael was triggered. Like, I showed that mask to him. I'm the reason why all these people are dead now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they get rid of Laurie in this movie, have him move forward as the new Loomis.
Yeah. I think David Gordon Green made a genius decision during that bathroom scene, because while Dana is getting killed, he puts the camera on Aaron's face, a guy who already took a beating from hell from Myers. So can you imagine you're Aaron, you're sitting there, and your girlfriend, you have to listen to your girlfriend dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's never been like that scene has never been approached that way in the franchise. A kill scene, it's never been approached that way from more of an emotional angle. Let's focus on the face of not the person getting killed, but the person that has, that's one of the love interests or somebody or somebody's husband or
Absolutely.
wife.
Yeah,
it's beautifully directed. I love that about it.
And in a horror movie, if we don't see a body bag, that person's alive.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why. The only concern I have is that this is filmed on the same night. Halloween Kills is going to be filmed on the same night and ends, I believe. So if Aaron is alive, his face looks like a wad of cookie dough right now, probably, and he's probably hurting pretty bad. So that's the only problem with bringing him back. Like, what can he do in his state? Well,
they also said David Gordon Green. I think he tweeted this. I don't know if it was him or if it was Blumhouse that tweeted it, because I know sometimes he tweets under Blumhouse.
Yeah.
That there is one more character returning for Halloween Kills. And a lot of people think it's going to be Hawkins. I don't know how Hawkins lives.
Yeah.
Because
Hawkins is going to be in a freaking coma in a hospital bed if he's alive.
Right. And then you got two characters that could possibly come back, and then nobody's talked about Cameron at all. Personally, I think it's going to be Cameron that comes back.
Oh yeah, because Cameron's fully alive. He wasn't attacked at all. So he's got to be alive. As a matter of fact, I think I actually heard that he is back.
There is a deleted scene that was released on YouTube where they show that he went to jail.
Yeah, I saw that he was confronted by the cops. And then he was getting mouthy with him. I thought Cameron was kind of an asshole.
Right.
If I'm being honest.
Well, I just rewatched that scene today because I watched the movie today, and I watched the scene where Andy Matichak's Allison catches him with that girl Kim.
Right.
Well, he doesn't lean into her at all.
No, he was actually in the right. Like she kissed him, and so Andy Matichak really didn't give him a chance to state his case, and it didn't help him that he threw her phone into the freaking whatever that bowl of whatever it was.
I mean, that's on him being drunk.
Yeah.
But he's standing there, she kisses him, and then he looks back and sees her, and then looks over. Who's to say he's not saying, "What the hell's wrong with you?" and then walks over to Allison. But obviously he's drunk at that time, and he's not really paying attention to what's going on. He's just trying to make his girlfriend, console his girlfriend that saw that, hey, was he cheating on me or not? But, he's in jail, And I think the first scene you're going to see with Lonnie, because we know Lonnie's coming back for it, is him bailing Cameron out of jail.
Yeah.
So,
hey, in the chat while we're talking about this, let me know your favorite tweet from the Halloween at Home event, because we're going to be talking about a few of those tweets. But I'd like to know what you guys thought. Which ones were your favorites? Your favorite bit of news, your favorite revelation that we found out from? There's not that many revelations, but yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys thought. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Zach.
It's all good. Yeah. And it's just like I see all these Halloween streams and I'm like, oh, I have so many ideas that I wanted to talk about. And I kind of get buried in the comments because, Halloween, there's so many people that want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, who's going to come back? I'd like to see Tom Atkins come back. I'd like to see him in one scene as a doctor at the hospital.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot of people saying. I didn't even ask you this. Like, how excited are you for Halloween Kills? Are you really, like, are you like me? Or are you just like, I'll go see it?
Man, I get really excited when a good horror movie is being made. Like, Scream 5, obviously, I'm excited for because it's my franchise. It's what I live for. Like, yeah. I didn't see Scream 4 in theaters. I didn't see any of the original Screams in theaters because I wasn't old enough to see them. So Scream 5 will be the first Scream that I actually see in theaters. So I've really
seen them all in theaters,
it.
By the way. All the Screams. I've seen them in theaters.
I think the oldest new horror movie that I saw in theaters was the Grudge remake, the American remake of The Grudge. I saw that in theaters. And that came out in like 2004?
Yeah.
3 or 4. But I saw that in theaters. But as far as the new Halloween goes, the fans get you excited. And I know that when I was doing all of my Halloween all of my Halloween reviews, if I can ever learn how to talk, Halloween 2018 was in development.
Yeah.
So not only was I doing all these and learning about the franchise, there was a new one being made. And the first Halloween 2018 was the first Halloween that I saw in theaters. And I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I'm very excited to see the second one. I mean, I'm definitely going to be going to theaters considering it's actually released in theaters.
That was another question I was going to ask for you. Would you be fine if it goes VOD, or are you really wanting to see this on the big screen? Because I know you don't always go to the theater, right?
I try to hit the horror movies.
Yeah.
I try to hit the horror movies. I try to see the DC movies when they come out in theaters. I've seen every DC movie in theaters except for Man of Steel. I try to hit all the big Marvel movies, but I just don't have enough time. I got a little one on the weekends, and I can't see every single movie that comes out. But I try to hit the big horror releases. Like I saw Strangers Prey at Night in theaters. I saw Halloween in theaters. I saw Brightburn in theaters.
Yeah.
That I can keep going, but yeah, I'll definitely be there for Halloween Kills.
Yeah. I'll be heartbroken if I have to see it on VOD. Oh my god, I'll be so freaking heartbroken.
I feel like Halloween is a movie that works in theaters very well.
Yeah,
like very well because it deals with the atmosphere. The atmosphere being there. Like
I saw something about seeing Halloween on the big screen that's different than other horror movies, and I think the score probably has something to do with it. And I think Myers is just so much bigger. Literally, of course, but also just in the vibe of Myers, everything's just bigger when it's on the big screen. And I don't understand that because, like, Friday the 13th, I can watch those at home and be fine. But there's something about Halloween, even the first movie. I've seen the first movie 3 times now on the big screen.
Right.
And I've seen the first movie probably hundreds of times in my life. Every time I see it on the big screen, there's just something about it. It's just a different experience. You can hear the breathing more pronounced. Everything's just better.
It's like your perfect example is the first Strangers. I saw that in theaters.
Yeah.
And I thought it was amazing in theaters, especially the scene where Liv Tyler is in the kitchen and she's eating the ice cream.
Yeah.
And she turns around and the man in the mask comes into frame, looks at her, walks away before she turns around.
Yeah.
That was fantastic in theaters. Didn't have the same effect at home.
Yeah,
I don't think that Halloween has the same effect at home. Like when I saw Myers kill Dana in the theaters,
yeah,
that scene was very powerful.
Sound
when I
design.
watched it at home,
Sound
it wasn't
design
exactly
is so
the same.
important, and the theater really pronounces it.
Yeah, like you had that Dolby surround sound in the theaters, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't work the same at home. But
So
yeah, as far as Halloween Kills goes, I mean, I'm obviously gonna want to see it in theaters. And I think if you give yourself, turn on your blue lighting behind your TV, turn off all the lights at home, you can get kind of
yeah,
the
you can
same,
sort of get there, but
but it's not going to be the same as seeing it in theaters.
now in the chat, I'm looking at the chat here. Let me go because I saw a couple mentions of the Myers house. That was one of the somebody asked, "Is the Myers house going to be in the movie?" And I believe it
said
was David
yes.
Gordon Green who said it is going to be, which I'm really excited about that. There's just something cool about the original Myers house, and obviously it's probably going to be in the flashback scene. So
Right.
we'll see that version of the Myers house, and I don't know. Are you excited about that, Zach, to actually see that?
The Myers house, I can take it or leave it
Yeah, it's not a
because
deal
it's
breaker
really
or anything, but it would be cool to see the '78 version of the Myers house, which I guess the '78 version is still the rundown version. So
right.
wouldn't it be cool if they had a
So I mean,
flashback from 1963?
that would be cool.
That'd be badass, actually.
That'd be really cool if they did if they went even further back and showed young Myers.
What if they showed Myers' parents, like maybe just show what they're doing for a little bit, and we don't realize that it's Myers' parents. Like, what if that's the opening of the movie, and then they get home, and you see the mother just start screaming, and we're like, as an audience, like, why is this woman screaming? And then we see like an angle from the car, pointed right at Myers standing there with the knife. So it'd be completely different than the crane shot that's in the first movie. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Right. But and you're not really changing the movie. You're not really changing the movie at all. Like you're going right up into that scene where they see young Michael there with a knife in his hand, just standing there on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm most excited
really
about with Kills is seeing what they show us in those flashback scenes.
It's like I feel like a lot of movies, like a lot of horror movies, don't need to be very long. I think Halloween needs to be a longer movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much meat there with those characters, and that's honestly, they wrote enough for 3 movies because it's not enough. Yeah. There's not enough time to tell it in 90 minutes.
If Halloween Kills is 2.5 hours, I probably wouldn't mind, as long as there's enough fat to chew on. And, because there's a lot going on right now after the events of Halloween 2018. There's a lot of ground that they could cover in that aftermath. So, I'm thinking it's probably going to be like an hour and 45. But, that's probably a good bet.
A little over 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
As far as that flashback scene goes, just give me a little bit of trench coat. I don't need to see all of Loomis. Just give me a little bit of trench coat. Good.
I can't believe I didn't even mention that. There's going to be I don't know if there's going to be a CGI Loomis or there's going to have an actor and like maybe showing from the side, the back of his head, something like that.
I don't even care. I don't even care if like he's in the background, kind of blurred out a little bit, and you hear the same guy that did the voiceover in Halloween 2018, and like you see a little bit of the trench coat and you see Myers there. Like, I don't need to see Myers be like apprehended.
No,
like I don't need to see that. Which I think that Halloween Returns did that beautifully, but that script.
That was a great script. I mean, it had problems, but
if that movie would have been made, I think it would have brought Halloween back.
I tell you, that last scene in that script gave me chill bumps. When the I can't remember the character's name, but he's just lying there in the bed after the events, because I think Myers like pulled his tongue out of his mouth or something like that. And so then you see like this shadowy figure in the background, and it's Loomis, and it says it's Gary Oldman playing Loomis. It literally says that in the script, and he just like, it's kind of like what Carpenter did with Myers' face in the first movie, where it comes in from the dark. Well, you see Loomis's face come in from the dark, and he's like, "I told you this would happen."
I actually read that script. I read that Marcus Dunstan in script. And I read the Nick Antosca Friday the 13th 3D script in the same day. So I was like, why weren't these movies released? Because that Friday the 13th script was also really good. And neither of those movies were made.
No.
But you can tell that they pulled a little bit from that Halloween Return script for the Halloween 2018.
I think so too, and I think the vibe of the Halloween Returns script is pretty similar to the tone, the vibe that you get from Halloween. You know, it's dark. You can tell that they definitely weren't messing around at all. But there was, even in the Return script, there were a lot of Easter eggs. You know, that
Yeah.
we saw in like Halloween 2018, which was kind of cool.
I think they saw the toy store, the mask
Yeah,
shop
there was
from
definitely some Halloween
Three.
3 love in there.
It was in that movie. The character Ellie Stacey Nelkin's dad's character was mentioned in that script.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's a really good script. If no one's read that, like that is a really really good script.
Okay,
I
let's
liked it.
let's get controversial now, okay? Because one that I definitely have to talk about is the Jamie Lee Curtis tweet. Jamie Lee Curtis was on fire, I guess, during this thing. She had a few different things she was mentioning. I think one thing I liked that she said was she mentions about a certain scene where she rushed into the scene quicker than they thought she was going to. I thought she was talking about the very first scene when she meets Dana and Aaron, and she grabs the chair
Okay.
and she just slides it forward, slams it on the ground, and sits down.
Yeah,
I think that's the one she was talking about, where she came into the scene just like a bat out of hell, you know. And I
I
think it
really
was a
like
smart
that.
decision. Yeah, yeah, she was setting up how, how matter of fact and how, how much of
Like,
this character was just very intense. You know, a
why are
very
you
different
here?
character than the
Tell me
first
why
movie.
you're here and leave. Like, like I really liked how like blunt she was.
Yeah, very blunt. Now,
Right.
of course, the one that caught a lot of flack was somebody said that their 5-year-old watched Halloween. Now, and I'll give her a little bit of slack here, but I think it was her wording that got her in trouble because she pretty much called the person a bad parent. She literally said bad parent. And if you don't want your 5-year-old to watch Halloween, I'm not gonna knock you. That's not a problem. My
Right.
kids were little at a time. I'm not gonna lie. We didn't really let our kids watch Halloween. But having said that, if somebody did let their kids watch Halloween, it didn't. Halloween's not a really. It's pretty tame in terms of horror. So
The original Halloween.
yeah, the original Halloween.
Halloween 2018.
Yeah,
Like, all right, so I have a young daughter. My daughter's turning 6 this year
yeah,
in August, and I don't let her watch horror movies
yeah. That's
because
what I'm saying. I'm
she's
not gonna
just
judge somebody that
she's
doesn't.
not young enough. She's not young enough. You know, I started too, but no, she's not old enough for it yet. I mean, when I started watching horror movies, I watched edited versions of the Friday the 13th movies when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah,
And I nothing happened to me. Like I think that's the perfect age in my opinion because I mean I saw Scream when I was 7, and Scream is probably as violent as Halloween 2018.
the only thing that my parents wouldn't let me watch was when it came to nudity. If it had
Right.
violence, it had to be really rough for them to cover my eyes. But if it had nudity, it was a no go. They wouldn't let me watch anything with nudity. But I
I
saw
can't watch any of that.
I saw Friday the 13th Part 3 when I was 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
with my fingers over my eyes, of course. I was pretty much my own judge of what I could and couldn't handle.
Right. Same
And
thing with me.
I'm glad my parents gave me that power. I didn't turn out to be a bad kid or anything. So I'm not saying Jamie Lee Curtis is wrong or if she's right, and I think it depends on the parent.
And
Um,
I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis has any children, does she?
yeah, she does actually. I think she's got at least one daughter.
Because I think she keeps her personal life pretty
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, she does.
quiet.
But I'm almost positive she at least has a daughter. But I think
Yeah,
it's
I
just
wasn't very sure about
her
that.
wording was way off base though. To call anybody a bad parent, I don't think that makes you a bad parent if you show your 5-year-old a horror movie. And I'll even say I think most horror fans started when they were really young. And horror fans are probably the coolest, kindest people that I've ever met in my entire life. They really are. They're not standoffish. They're not stuck up. If anything, I think horror fans are the best type of people on the planet. And most of them watched horror movies when they were young. So,
Well, I mean, I sometimes, when my daughter's over on the weekends, I catch her checking out my horror collection, so I know that she's interested at least in what I, have. So that's a good sign. But, as far as showing it to your kids,
yeah.
Like, I think like 8, 9 years old.
You know,
I
I
think
kind of let them be the
that's
guide too. Like my daughter's the horror fan. My son, he's not a horror fan at all. He will watch some, but he's mostly into like comic book movies and stuff like that. But my daughter, I don't remember ever, I don't remember her ever like grabbing a horror movie and saying, "Dad, can I watch this?" when she was really little.
Mhm. Right.
She kind of decided on her own, and I think when she got a certain age, she would say, "Hey, Dad, I want to watch this." Just to give you an example, like the remake of When a Stranger Calls, and
Yeah.
she loved that, and she was probably maybe 10, something like that. But I let her be the judge, I let her be the guide, and she was
And
like, "Dad, I
that's
want to
that's
watch
a
this," and I was like, "Sure."
that's a good example of a starter movie
It
too,
is.
because
It's a
it's not a
great
very
starter movie
violent
for a kid.
movie. It's really atmospheric. It's not scary. Like it's scary, but it's not like super like, oh, there's blood everywhere and all that. It's
Yeah.
a very tension movie. Like it's in that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, I think
And I think
a
that's the
good parent
starter
knows
movie.
their children inside and out, and they know what they can and can't handle. I
Right.
always knew that my daughter could handle more than my son could in terms of horror at a certain age. So it wasn't something that I held back from them. I just let it gravitate naturally. If I'm making sense,
Oh
I
no,
guess it was
I
never an
understand.
issue.
The same thing happened to me. Like I used to always, my mom would go to these things with her friends where, movie fest where they would watch all these movies. And this is kind of how I discovered horror movies. I saw, Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street. I Know What You Did Last Summer, a lot of these movies. And I was like, hey, these are cool. And I kind of went from there, you know. And I went a different way. I didn't start with the 80s movies. I started with the 90s movies and
Yep.
went, progressively in the other direction. And, but that's you gotta try to let them do their thing. You can't just say, "Hey, let's watch Rob Zombie's Halloween," and you're 2 years old. Like, let's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
do that. That's bad parenting, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, you
But
definitely don't want to do that. Like I said, Rob Zombie's movies are pretty tough. You're not going to let your
any
5 year
of
old
Rob
watch The
Zombie's
Devil's
movies,
Rejects.
none of them, none
Yeah.
of them for your kids, unless your kids are like, "Hey, Dad, let's watch this." Well, you don't want to watch this with me?
Yeah. I think this sums it up right here. I think a good parent, they're going to know what their kids are watching, and if their 5 year old's watching Halloween, they're going to know that their kid's watching Halloween, and they're going to know how they're going to be able to handle it. I think a bad parent is going to set their kid in front of a TV for 8 hours a day, and it doesn't matter what's playing on that TV. They just ignore
Right.
them. That's a bad
Hmm.
parent. So
No, you nailed that on the head.
yeah, yeah. It's just you have to be present to be a good parent. You have to know what your kids are watching. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
you're right about that.
Man, I tell you, Zach, the time has just flown by. Like you made this easy for me because usually I'm doing this by
I try.
myself, and, and I'm like, okay, now I got to think up something else to talk about. But yeah, you're really making this easy for me. So this was a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody in the chat that stopped by. I want to thank Zach, and this will not be the last that you see of Zach for sure. If I have anything to do with it anyway. So, anyways, thank you, Tim Jenkins. Appreciate that. He said he was about 6 when he started horror. Love the channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, no problem with that whatsoever. So, Zach, tell me. I don't know if is your channel. Are you still like putting out videos? Because I know you're doing a fan film, so probably 100% of your attention is probably on that right now, right?
Well, yeah, most of the content that I put out on the channel is uh, for my for my film.
Yeah.
So I can just plug the Indiegogo again.
Yeah. Go for it.
Um, June 20th, guys. June 20th of 2020 is when we are starting the Indiegogo campaign for my film He Knows Your Name, a Scream fan film. And like I said earlier in the episode here, that it's very paramount that we get the support from the fans of the Scream franchise. Without you guys, we can't make it. So we got some amazing perks. I've talked with the other people involved with the project, and we come up with some really really cool perks for you guys to help support us. And I'm coming at you with a very personal, like very gritty story, and I think it's something that's fitting for the franchise. And this is the perfect time to do it. Scream is really hot on the tongue right now, and
If I can make
just,
can I make a request? Since you're talking about perks, can you
Go for it.
possibly make a He Knows Your Name VHS?
Oh, we were talking about VHS.
Like a limited run or something like that? Because I'd like to. You know me, I'm the VHS guy, so.
We were talking about VHS because, every time I look at my Scream collection and I don't see Scream 4 on VHS, my heart sinks just a little bit.
Yeah.
So not only do I need Scream 4 and Scream 5 on VHS, I'm going to need He Knows Your Name on VHS as well. So, we are thinking about different things. We may run another campaign later for a couple of extra things because there are some things in the pipeline possibly for other installments maybe.
Cool.
So if you guys want to support the project, head on over to the channel, really share this thing around if you want to see this thing get made, because there's a lot of passion going into He Knows Your Name from everybody involved, the actors, the technical crew, myself, the writer director. So if you want to head over to the He Knows Your Name Facebook page, He Knows Your Name a Scream fan film, you'll find all the updates. You can head over to the Cavern of Terror Studios Instagram as well. I post all the updates on there if that's easier for you with your phone.
I'm going to put those links in my info box too. So Zach, you just give me the links and then I'll paste them in my info box. So that way you guys can grab them, bookmark them, and and of course we'll be doing reminders for when June 20th rolls around. So
yes, but anyway, that is the date, June 20th.
6/20. So, anyway, guys, I guess we're going to hang it up here. This was a lot of fun. So many nice comments there in the chat, too. People have really been enjoying this stream. It did go by way too quick, but
it did.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing another one soon. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Every Thursday, 8 p.m., you're going to DD Live Weekly, okay? And I like having guests on too, so I'll probably have I talked to Christian Hannah Horror, and he had me on his channel last night for an interview, and I told him I'd have him sometime too, so I'll have him. But I think before June 20th, we should definitely get you back on so we can foot stomp that date. All right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm down to talk about the film anytime.
Cool. All right, guys. I guess we're gonna hang it up for now. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all next Thursday. Stay safe, everyone.